Well, the time came for me to rob a bank, heart pounding, pulse racing. We quietly got in line at one window, I stood at another, and then the guns already sort of sticking through the opening. Hello, my name is Marcus, and I robbed banks. I was 18 years old at the time. I took a toy gun, and there was another guy with me. He was kind of assigned to me to keep an eye on me because I was the youngest, and, well, everyone was worried about who they'd brought along. Basically, just a kid. Anyway, we grabbed a bite to eat first, because the bank didn't open until 10 a.m., time to head in, and the fear, the adrenaline, the thought that you have to push through this. So we went. The robbery wasn't like you see in movies where you burst in yelling, "Everyone on the floor! This is a robbery?" I just scribbled some nonsense on a piece of paper like I had some kind of account or something. My turn comes up, there was a woman behind the glass. She looks at this note, then at me like, what is this? And then the gun's already sort of poking through the window. She gave me a certain amount of money. I had a bag with me. Everything was ready, but there was no time for that. I just started stuffing it everywhere. Down my shirt, and my pants, and my underwear. Anywhere I could cram the cash. The guy who was with me, the one who was supposed to be watching me, well, he got scared, didn't take anything. We walked out, went down into the light rail, changed clothes in the station, rode a few stops. We walked up to a taxi driver, showed him the money. He said $180. I said, well, we don't have more than that. This is all we've got. We're tourists here. We don't know how to get out of town. Can you take us to the city? He believed us. Usually taxi drivers cooperate with the cops, so we had to spin these stories. Anyway, he drove us to that city, and we arrived at our destination. And that money, it's not like it was yours to keep. It all gets distributed. We blew through that money fast, partying, going out. We partied so hard, I once left a $650 tip. Yeah, just like that. I was planning to build up a clean stash, get to $1,400 so I could relax. My childhood was pretty rough. My mom didn't look after me. My grandma took legal guardianship of me. I lived with her. I was happy with her. Everything was great. But then, Grandma asked other relatives to take guardianship. She died when I was about 7, I think. And in that relative's family, I was an unwanted child. It was really hard on me emotionally, psychologically, mentally, in every way. I just didn't feel any love at all. Only constant negativity, like I was in the way. I was raised purely through punishment. No care, no warmth. Just punishment. Punishment like the military, basically. And one day I came to school with these welts from a jump rope on my face. And the teachers, the staff, they understood from my behavior and certain signs that there were serious problems. They called some kind of meeting and said, "Would you like to go to a group home? We'll take you away from this family." I didn't think twice. I said I wanted to go to the group home. When I got to the group home, I didn't see any huge or significant difference. Well, there's no love, no warmth, nothing. You just keep following orders. School. Back from school, homework, sleep, wake up. That's basically it. At the group home, I started smoking, started drinking. Up to a certain point, there was still love in my heart. Some breaking point happened, and that was destroyed in my heart. I can't say something specific happened. I just remember now that I stopped feeling those emotions, stopped caring, stopped worrying. Crime started appearing. Eventually it got to the point where I was wanted by the police. Well, in that situation, someone offered for me to go to another state and rob banks there. I agreed to everything they offered, and here too I gladly agreed. Of course, I'm in. Between the first and second crime, about maybe 4 days passed. And from that moment on, I was basically assigned to watch over the guy who'd been watching me. We went into the bank, and this partner of mine, he walked up, got money from the teller, gun out, they gave him cash. I walk up to the window, and it closes like, "Sorry, we just got robbed." We split up and go separate ways because the situation got weird. Cops started showing up. Helicopters started flying around with binoculars. Basically, it turned into an action movie. So, I'd had a drink for courage, walked around town by myself, looking for another teller window so I could hit it myself and have some money. And I remember crossing some little bridge, suddenly surrounded by a bunch of cop cars, sirens going. They all jumped out with guns, hands up, and all that. They laid me down flat, cuffed me, took me to the police station. They interrogated us there. Were you involved in this? Were you involved in that? I said. I had nothing to do with it. I don't even know that guy. I was just standing in line. I'm a tourist. And I had the toy gun on me. They found it. Well, I'm a tourist, I said. It's a toy. I just play with kids. Spouting some nonsense. And that was it. They locked me up. I realized that's it. I'm in jail. There's no way out. And I'm sitting there. And I suddenly remembered that God exists up in heaven. And I thought, let me pray. So I prayed, saying, Lord, get me out of here. I'll rob one more bank and then I'll stop. Some time passed, a couple hours. I'm praying, saying, Lord, let me go. I'll go back to America. I'll work. I'll be a normal, decent person. And basically a day goes by. A cop comes in and says, ciao, like, goodbye. When I got out, I couldn't get a hold of anyone because all the connections had been cut so I wouldn't lead anyone back. I hung around on the street for a few days. With no money, nothing. I approached one Russian guy. I could tell by his face he was Russian. Walked up, said, hey, what's up? And told him what I was doing there. Just straight up, yeah. I said, well, I came here to rob banks, bro. Can you help me out with something? Yeah, no problem. We're into stuff like that too, man. Fun crew, basically. So they hooked me up. They had their own crew too, junkies and all that. They put me up for a couple of days. Money got sent to me. With that money, I bought myself a gun, bought a change of clothes. They showed me where this Spark-ass bank was. And off I went, basically, to rob it. I went to the bank. Third time heading in, I didn't have a drop of fear. I wasn't scared anymore, like I was going to buy snacks, like going to a store. Got there, stuck the gun through the window, said, Geld schnell. Basically, money fast. He handed me some cash. A man was sitting there, gave me some bills. But I looked, it wasn't much. I said, Alice, like, all of it. He's waving at me, no more, no more. I said, come on, fast. He pulled out something else, threw it in. And supposedly he threw in this bomb. Basically a device developed by the police. It stains the money, stains your hands. You're supposed to be covered in dye. But I had this really thick bag. I wrapped it all up tight, ran out of that bank, ran under a bridge. It started smoking, that dye exploded. But because the bag was so thick, I didn't get any on my hands. Only all the money was covered in that dye. I changed clothes, ran out from under the bridge. Turns out I was running straight toward the station. I saw cops. And on reflex, I just freaked out that it was the police. Turned around. They realized it was me. After me, they went. I saw a dumpster. Threw the money in the dumpster. It was one of those recycling bins for plastic bottles. The bag fit right in there. Well, they grabbed me. Beat up my nose right there in the car. And that was it. They charged me with multiple robberies, including a robbery I wasn't even involved in. I was literally in Las Vegas that day. Well, I think they just pinned all those unsolved bank robberies on me. They basically told me, confess to everything, and you'll get 4 years instead of 7 or 8. I confessed to everything, got 4 years. First time I'd been in prison. It's more like a resort for the body. There's a little gym. You can write a form and they send you to the kitchen 1 day a week. You cook yourself any dish you want. Pizza, whatever, doesn't matter. But in terms of the moral, or how should I say the mental aspect, it was incredibly hard. Those guards, those cops, whoever worked where I was locked up, well, they treated me and all the guys pretty negatively. If your cellmate's white, he can basically do whatever he wants, but you get nothing. If you so much as move a finger, they'll throw you in solitary fast. And you'll sit there like an idiot. I only served 2 years in America. There's this law. If you're a citizen, you only do half your sentence. And after half your sentence, they deport you back to your home state or wherever. And if you come back without the judge's permission, and they check your ID, you'll be doing the other 2 years. I'm not risking going back there yet. Even though I have a visa, everything. 3 U.S. Marshals flew in for me on a plane. They put me in cuffs, flying from one prison to another, basically. I got out a completely different person. I had different thoughts, different plans, different goals, different desires. I can say specifically that prison doesn't change you at all. Everything that happens there, it's the opposite. It reinforces the evil, reinforces the crime. It's always the same conversations there. It's glorified, it's honorable, it's cool. And you absorb it, all that garbage. And when you get out, you'll keep going back and back for life. Faith saved me. In the American prison, a guard who worked there brought me a Christian book. It's called Jesus, Our Destiny. I was wary, wondering whether to read it or not. I started reading this book, and it said that God can change my life, that if I turn to Him, if I repent for everything I did and ask Him to change my life, He'll come into my life and change me. I decided to try it. Why not? I prayed. And just from that day in my life, everything changed drastically. My thoughts started changing. I just quit cigarettes cold, really fast. God changed my life in such a way that I'm not even drawn back to it. It's been many years now. I wanted that freedom so badly. I fought against being under anyone's control, got myself into such problems, such a mess, that I ended up in prison. Drugs came into my life. No, it's nothing good. When I think back now, I wonder, maybe something was fun for me, but no. There was nothing fun about it. That's it. You don't see any meaning after that. The life I was living, I think 2 years was the absolute maximum I had left to live. I met my wife, actually. Have a wonderful wife. She's a huge support for me. She gives me what I lost. The loss I experienced in childhood. Some kind of love, warmth. My wife is a huge person in my life, really. And so after the wedding, we had a little money and we decided to try to start some kind of business. And one of my friends is in the fireworks business. I asked him, Danny, could you tell me how, what, where? He gave me an address, said, go there, buy from them, buy this product, and that's it, just do it. I did all that. Opened a small stand, sold for 1 year, doubled the money. The next year I opened 3 stands. Another year I opened 10 stands, basically. So pretty good money started coming in. And we don't have to work much. I'm grateful to God. We live comfortably, everything's fine. I'm not some rich guy. I don't even own my own house. I'm renting for now, but I live pretty comfortably. To those people who might think that my story is exciting and all these things I did in my life, I regret them. Unfortunately, I regret them because a lot of my crimes, a lot of it caused people pain. You won't just bear those consequences yourself. Yes, it does. I have a loving wife and I love her. I understand if I had kids and they started going down that path, that would be, well, it's terrifying. To go back and rewind my life, if I could change something, it would be at the very root, at the very beginning of my life. I would want a complete family.